Hey Tegan, what's in the bag? It's the show where we get home from the comic book store and we look through my bag because, say it with me, folks, I spend too much money on comic books. I'm trying to spend less. I'm trying to spend less. It's fun to spend money on comic books. That's the problem. That's the problem. Anyway, if you like this show, if you like any of my shows, please check out my Patreon. Uh, Got tons of stuff for you to download there. I put up tons of other videos on this channel on many different subjects related to comic books. Talk about old comic books, talk about comic books with a spine. But here, today, we're going to look through a couple new comic books. Because I have to flagellate myself in public for buying What If Donald Duck became the mighty Thor. We've already seen What If Donald Duck became Wolverine. I don't know. Is he going to be getting the Venom symbiote soon here? There's a lot going on in Donald's life, apparently. There's always a lot going on in Donald's life. And they even got Walt Simonson to draw Donald Duck as Thor. Simonson, after me. This is, it's like Mike Skinner used to ask, has it come to this? Yeah. Donald Thor versus the Stone Ducks of Saturn. Plot Steve Bailing. Script Riccardo Secchi. Art Giada Personotto. So looks like another book being done primarily out of Italian studios for their Disney stuff. Stories from the Spider-Verse, man. They get wait a minute. Okay, this is prose. I'm sorry. Like, okay, they've done a lot of Spider-Verse anthologies, but this is apparently a prose anthology with a number of I recognize at least a couple of these names. So we're looking at a new retelling of the origin of Thor with Donald Duck, license plate 313, of course. I like this. This has a nice, loose style to it, while still being, just as precise as you expect any of the European Duck material. Straight up. I'm not going to tell you that you should be reading any contemporary Disney comics, but if you insist on doing so and you don't at least, pay some attention to the absolutely technical, perfect work being done, in Europe by the Disney people. I'm sure they pay them terribly and don't give them anything, just like they didn't give Don Rose anything. But some solid prose working on those books, even if, ultimately not always to my cup of tea because, I like Karl Barks. So the Stone Ducks from Saturn have arrived. And looks like they're about ready to break something, cause some havoc and damage. Donald flees, he breaks a twig. Oh, and we know this. This isn't how it happened in the movies. But, he's being chased by stone men, by aliens, who just happen to, push him into a cave. And he goes into the cave and he finds this magic stick. He hits the stick to the rock, and suddenly... See, there are some panels where you can remember, like, okay, this is really close to, the Kirby, compositions from that story. It's actually, Kirby didn't draw all the early Thor stuff. There's a few other artists in there, but he drew the first Thor story, and it's an excellent art job from him. But at other places, this is later Kirby, the dots. Donald Duck and Kirby Crackle, there you go. So, yeah, he just realized he can't put the hammer down. Well, hopefully he's about to put the hammer down. But he can't take his hands off the hammer, all the stuff we know. And so we get to see Donald Duck comedy setups with him, figuring out how to use all these powers that he inexplicably has. So, yeah, there you go. If you buy this comic, it's because you got some kind of sickness in your soul that can only be satisfied by seeing Donald Duck wielding Mjolnir. It gives you what you paid for. You can't say it doesn't. Are they doing any more of these? I don't know. I've done Wolverine. I've done Thor. If they keep doing these at a certain point, I don't know. Like, I get it. It's funny. So he gets to fight a robot. There you go. This is, very nice looking work. No doubt about it. It's definitely an imposing robot. Oh, there you go. He now has the power of Thor. And honestly, straight up, I do not believe Donald Duck is worthy. Straight up. You're not going to convince me that Donald Duck, at any point, is worthy of the hammer of Thor. He always has to learn better. That's what Donald does. His first choice is always the wrong choice. That's kind of his function in a story, to be blunt, is to be wrong sometimes. That's why he's such a human figure. But that does not qualify him to wield Mjolnir. But they didn't consult me. And this is the sketch of the A cover, which is a straight spoof of the Journey into Mystery 83. A couple sketches. Oh, they're doing this. What if Minnie became Captain Marvel? I don't know what to say to that. I don't know what to say. I bought Donald Duck is Wolverine. I bought Donald Duck is Thor. Am I going to go out on that bridge with you to what if Minnie became Captain Marvel? I don't know. Maybe two of these is enough for one person. Maybe I've got the joke. I don't know. Maybe I've got the joke. Just watch. They give me a variant. I can't refuse. It's a sickness. I'm happy to see them putting this material back into print. They should still do mini Marvel stuff. This was endlessly inventive, fun stuff from a period when not a lot of endlessly inventive, fun stuff was really coming out of Marvel. And yet, these mini Marvel's cartoons got their start in that late 90s period. All right, let's talk about the anniversary issue of The Little Book That Could. Poison Ivy was not supposed to be celebrating its 25th issue and counting. That was not in the cards. They thought they were getting 6 issues out of her. They were obviously very conservative with what the commercial appeal for this character was, because that 6-issue miniseries has become something. I don't want to say juggernaut. It's not a juggernaut, but straight up, this is an excellent book. It sells well. It seems, in as much as you can say this about any comic book being published by the big two and sold on the direct market, it seems to genuinely be serving a grateful audience. Hence its continuance and its popularity. And I love these covers here. the Jessica Fong covers that they've had from the beginning. At the end of it, they're going to put them all together into a hardcover, and that's going to be a fantastic looking book. I didn't make it to the store till Thursday, and I don't think the Brian Bolland cover was the one that I wanted most, but this was the one that was left. So it's kind of interesting. I'm down on Bolland, though. I used to think the world of Brian Bolland, but in all honesty, the way he has dogged the original coloring for The Killing Joke has lowered my estimation of his character. It's such a strange thing to be so petty about. But, you know, they got Nicola Scott doing more of these spotlight covers, which, you know, they're kind of similar to the ones that Marvel was doing with Dowderman there. Nice pieces in both cases. So, yeah, I'm behind. I sat down recently. I put together the whole run, so it's in one pile, and I've been pecking at it, catching up issue by issue. And, man, let me tell you, the first few issues of this comic, the ones that were created when they thought this was just going to be a mini, are extraordinarily strong single issues, all on their own. Great short stories featuring this character. And what I was really thinking of for the success they've had with her, you have to look as far back as the late 80s, when Marvel really started to hit with the Punisher. And Marvel really wasn't ready to hit with the Punisher. It was a book that faced some internal resistance. It wasn't necessarily something that everyone at Marvel was thrilled to be selling a lot of, because it was definitely a book with a certain mood, a certain viewpoint, that maybe sat at odds with a lot of the rest of what Marvel was doing. But the character sold, and they got good creators to do the character as well. Don't forget that, you know, part of the equation there. They put top shelf people on the Punisher for years. So yeah, of course, the character got a following, straight up. Similar type of character in that, yeah, she is a villain. She is famously a villain of the marquee guy, but at the same time, you can write her as a protagonist. Now, you can amp up this ecological angle, which didn't even really exist outside of academic literature. Certainly as a cultural force in the late 60s, that just wasn't on the stage yet. Barely, tiny bit, toehold with, you know, the hippies and stuff. And that sort of became the movement of the first Earth Day in the 70s and all that stuff. But really, the character was she was a jewel thief in her first appearance. And later on, she was the character they had who sort of ended up embodying this cultural idea in the same way that the Punisher did. And that, yeah, this is a book where this woman travels around the country killing rich people and good old boys. That's it. She murders a lot of people over the course of this book. As many people as Frank Castle at his best. And yet, the book definitely represents a definite viewpoint that, you know, whose time has come in just the same way that, you know, Frank Castle's moment was, you know, that late 80s, you know, hard right turn in American culture. And here it's like, yeah, this is your protagonist. She is a smoking redhead, and she kills a lot of people. So who else did they get? They got a lot of good artists to do work in here. Joanne Sterer with Haining. Oh, that is a nice combo. Hassan Otsmane El-How on letters for the whole series, of course. Look at this. Look at this. Yeah, they went all out. They got some good people to do some good work. If you're not reading Poison Ivy, like straight up, you should be reading Poison Ivy. This is one of those runs that's going to be collected and remembered decades from now. If there's a comics industry to push comics in decades from now, it'll be pushing this run alongside the best of them. Excellent. Okay, straight up. I don't even like the Joker, and this is baller. I remember that episode. Man. Something about the Joker in the early run of the Batman the Animated Series, about as palatable as I find the character, who I genuinely don't like, usually. But this character gets at the corny and the shabby elements that are just completely elided. But there, look, it's the Joker mobile. It's the stupidest thing you've ever seen in your life. And yet, he makes this guy can make it work. So who's doing the second pop here? Grace Ellis, Brian Level. Nice work, nice work. You should go get this. This is a nice comic book. You should go get this, even if you don't usually pay attention to this character. You should. Like I say, it's the Distaff Batman books where they actually put the interesting talent. So we got looks like a Killer Croc spotlight, or at least he's in it for a few pages. Gretchen Felker Martin, she's a prose stylist of some renown. Atagun Ilhan, artist. Not necessarily familiar with that name. Deborah Villajos, colorist. Nice looking work. Like, again, Croc. I don't necessarily know if you could have predicted that he was going to be so strong in the 2010s and the 2020s. And yet, guy's got shooters, no doubt. So this is Dan Waters, Danny, artist, Brad Simpson, colorist. Interesting. Whole different feel. We're in a different mood instantly. Yeah, this is nice. Interesting stuff. Look at this. This is just a very nice page. Right here. Taken after Francesco Francavilla there. There are worse people to steal from. He's one of the best working today. Yeah, this is just a really nice comic book all around. You should be reading it. You should definitely be reading it. Catch up on it at the library. Seems like the perfect thing to check out at the library. And see, the book's going strong. This is blooming in 2024. That guy's going to show up. Everyone wants to see that guy. Looks like the Green, maybe. Oh, is this that I hope this is that flower dude, Mr. Bloom. Kind of looks like him. A little bit. Is that? No, there we go. Oh, it's I take psychic damage every time I see the ad for Rick and Morty, the anime. They put out such nice variant covers, and the world is not such that I can just buy every Jose Luis Garcia Lopez piece that crosses my path, even if it's just like, a cover, a Hispanic Heritage Month cover. But man, if wishes were fishes, pretty much everything he puts his hands on is worth looking at. House of the Dragon. Man, I don't know. Just not feeling the whole prequel vibe that everyone's doing now. It seems like a retreat. All I'm seeing is prequels. Sad times. And we'll just flip through this because to my to my immortal shame, I want to try out different things. I want to see what different talent is doing. And I'm really, I'm bullish on Kelly Thompson because I've said it before, I'm a broken record about it. Her Birds of Prey, possibly the best book going now. I think, you got Poison Ivy. That's another excellent book. Immortal Thor. I'm really bullish on Immortal Thor, but I'd say maybe that's the top 3 in the big 2 right now, those books. Season to taste if you're not digging Immortal Thor as much. I know a lot of people are enjoying that run of the Fantastic Four. But yeah, Kelly Thompson's Birds of Prey impressed me enough that when I saw her name on G.I. Joe, on one of the new G.I. Joe books, which I'm not getting invested in at all, but I liked the piece of promo art I saw, and it's like, okay, I can be in for 4 nice-looking issues with, Scarlett. Who doesn't like Scarlett? I have no attachment to this new continuity. I'm Hammer, ride or die. Just not that into G.I. Joe as a concept. I'm into what Larry Hama can do with G.I. Joe. But this is Kelly Thompson with Marco Ferrari, Lee Loffridge. Lee Loffridge is one of those names. If you see his name on a cover, pick it up and look through it. It probably isn't terrible. But yeah, I think this Marco Ferrari character, I can't remember if I've seen anything of it before. I need to look it up. But this series has some nice work. Very clear 4-tier action sequence here. Straight out of Paul Smith X-Men. And he just draws really interesting characters with good body language. I'm not invested in Scarlett as a character, but I remember the basics of her story in the Hama iteration. And she's so closely identified with Snake Eyes and, all that drama, which, is the backbone of the Hama run of the book with, the various ninja clans and all that stuff. But at its best, the G.I. Joe in the comic books is a good military-themed superhero procedural. Bronze Age to its core, even, this newest Image iteration. I need to sit down. That's a nice spread there. I need to sit down, read the whole thing in one sitting. I don't know if it'll amount to much. I'm not going to continue reading anything other than just this one series that I committed to with an artist that I didn't mind and a writer who I'm, extending some trust to. I'm not going to get sucked in. I have no interest in their new Transformers books. I know people like the Daniel Warren Johnson stuff. He's good. I'm not going to sit here and tell you he's not good. But, I like G1. G1 is from when I was a kid. That's pretty much the size of my attraction to the Transformers, in hindsight. Ooh, this looks fun. They did, kind of a 16-bit platformer here. Honestly, they never did a great G.I. Joe platformer like this. That seems like an excellent historical niche to fill right there. All right, so was there... I think there was just a letters page here. I'm happy people write into the comics still. Oh, it's penultimate, so there's one issue to go. Okay. All right, well, I'm one issue to go on... I think I liked the early issues that I read through, but, miniseries can fall apart. It happens. I don't know. We'll see. Sometimes you take a chance because you think something new might be interesting. That's what the direct market's all about, if you have any affection for it whatsoever. So, yes, check out my other videos on this channel. I talk about old comics. I talk about new comics. I just like talking about comics, period. I do daily comic book reviews on TikTok and Instagram. I do a podcast with Claire Napier called Udder Madness. It's about Top Cow comics. That's The Darkness, Mark Silvestri, The Witchblade, Michael Turner, all that good stuff. I really enjoy doing it. We both really enjoy doing it. So check it out. Please, check it out. What else? I don't know. That's a lot of stuff. That feels like it's a lot of stuff. I'm just trying to, keep my name out there so people don't forget about me. Have a wonderful